Evening, folks. For our next project, what we've got here is a bit of a growly wheel bearing. Just listen to this. That can be. Now, it's been doing this for several weeks, but it's only recently gotten bad enough that I can tell which one it is. So you see there we have play vertically, so it's not a tie rod or something else. And pretty much in any direction you would like to wobble it. That little bit of play there. Now, a lot of people like to say that this sort of thing should be replaced in pairs, and that's a nice theory if you've got lots of money. But with quality control these days, those bearings didn't necessarily start out equal. Have you ever noticed the roadways to be exactly the same on both sides? What about all those potholes and curbs and possums you hit? Were they equally distributed? If you want to replace a bearing that isn't making any noise yet, you might be discarding a bearing that would have lasted another 50,000 miles. You're not a member of a professional race team. Unless you're a member of a professional race team. So let's get to her. And now you can see that more clearly. The entire hub wobbles. So, I'll get the caliper out of the way here. I'll wire that up out of in order to keep the stress off of the brake line here. Oh, and a lot of people are afraid of cars falling on them, and they like to use these little props. So, if you're one of those, now, next we'll need to remove the rest of the brake assembly here. These two 17mm-ish bolts here. There you go. And it's about time for a slathering. Really, you don't need that much. Many brake rotors and drums have a pair of threaded holes like this, so I'm using them with the appropriate bolts to press this rotor off of the hub. And now I'm using my 3-jaw puller to try to push the drive axle out of the hub. Sometimes when you get that tensioned, you'll want an extra little persuasion. A little persuasion. Or maybe a little heat. To the outer object only. I want the hub to expand off of the shaft of this axle. So once you've been at it for a while, you've got to give it up. The heat will transfer to the shaft, and everything will be the same size again. Well, that is the most totally fused I've ever seen one of those. Aren't you viewers lucky? I'm gonna let that soak for a while. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, I let it sit overnight, soaking, and gave it another vicious beating this morning, and it finally came loose. But I still had to crank it the whole way with the impact. And it's still tight there, and now, for the clearance to remove it the rest of the way, I need to take other things loose, like the tie rod, the lower ball joint, and the strut. There we go. And finally it loosens up. Not quite enough space yet. Sometimes those will tap out of there. Now let's get the puller. Alright, tie it off. Axle free. Now I can fit a puller in here maybe. Just barely. Now that's spinning, so we got press against it a bit. See if I can get it to stop doing that. I don't think we're getting anywhere. Just wedge that back on a bit. See if we can turn that nut. Oh. So I use this clamp to put a little tension back on this. Let's see if that works at all. Oh, not enough. See if I can wedge it back in place like so. Using the mini pickle fork here. Now that's stuck. Okay. That stopped it spinning. Now make sure you take the nut off far enough before you break it loose. Which I guess, in the case of this one, is all the way. I like to leave it there, right on the end, to help hold the puller in place and to protect the threads. Apparently you can't do that with this one. Not with this lock nut. Oh right, there we are. Now maybe just a tap will get that back loose. There we are. And here's the piece we're after. Now we've got to press it apart. Overall though, a pretty nice car. This has got 180 some thousand miles on it. And really no play in anything. Except the sway bar shifts end to end, but that doesn't affect anything. Unless you're a member of a race team. Now, I haven't really had the space to get a shop press, which is what we'll need to get this apart and put it back together. but I did put together a rig that'll do the same job. It's merely a sturdy I-beam frame, sort of like a shop press, that I can use one of our free hydraulic jacks in. And it's right over... Yeah. Boy, the recycling department's a little behind around here. Wonder who's in charge of that. Oh, that's wedged. I think I have a tool for this. And there's how you remove honeysuckle. Alright, what were we doing? Okay, the whole thing about pressing this stuff is that you press on only the correct thing and support the other thing, so that you're never putting pressure on the bearing itself. So of course it doesn't matter as much on the disassembly, but we need to find a sturdy circle that's the same diameter or closely enough to the hub here, the inner portion. Sturdy circle is usually found in the form of a socket. Now, I need to get the right arrangement of props to support this securely and keep it straight, because we'll be dealing with ridiculous force here with the 20-ton jack. Well, that's an awful mess, eh? That seems to be in place there, kind of perpendicular to the frame and parallel to where our jack will go. So let's see if that's good enough. Put the socket there. Okay, let's see if this gets us anywhere. Hey! It budged. And there it goes. That was just barely good enough. But now I still gotta get the inner race off of there. I don't know. There it is. One hub. You could get a new one for 65 bucks, but I'm not made of 65 bucks. A bit of a dent there. I'll flatten that out. Next up, looks like the rest of this bearing has a snap ring retaining it here. Just try to get it loosened with a punch here. Well, I let that soak for a little while and it's moving now. Let's see if I can get a grip on it with the pliers. It's got a grippy looking shape. Okay, here I have one of these aluminum bearing and seal driver pieces. They come in a kit of various sizes. The socket again. Being a little hesitant. Let's see what we've got so far. Okay, it's just not coming out quite evenly, so it's in a bit of a bind. I need to push more over on this edge. Looks like it's time to try a little heat again. Well, there's something went. Broke it though. There it goes. Finally. Give it back. Always something. But there. That is moving. It's gonna come out. Glad I did not have to press any harder. That is far away from where I'd like to have this supported, but there's hardly anything to grab here. And we're out. Here's the rest of her. And next we'll want to make installation of the new bearing as easy as possible. So first some cleaning, and then I place the steering knuckle into the oven to expand it. And then at the other end of the situation, I've had the new bearing in the freezer to shrink it. Now it's time for installation is reverse of removal. And a freshly thermally contracted hub enables me to use a smaller jack for installation than I did for removal. And there's the assembly we're after. Good as new. Once again, trying to get those tapered shafts to bite so they don't spin. Of course, I'm using all shiny new cotter pins and lock nuts. was so much trouble, I'm actually gonna have to do what I said. Alright, let's take her for a spin. Yeah. Smooth. Whether you're turning left or right or just going straight. Thanks for watching.